as well. If you give them the chance, they will take a duel. But here we go, Loken with his Kalista once again, but he's up against Zhang Wuji, who's had some serious highlight reel moments, and he's on that Aphelios. It's a terrifying pick. Let's see how it works out for them in game number 1.
One of the beauties of having this Nidalee pick that we didn't touch on in Champ Select as well is that she does have that attack speed buff that she can give, and you've got 2 characters that can really use that super effectively in the Azir and in this Kalista. So I actually really like this Nidalee pickup, and especially like the way it can respond to both Harrow's playstyle on this Elise, but with the composition JDG have gone for.
Kanavi's starting towards the top side. He has been spotted out by a ward though. In fact, he's in the enemy's top side, just trying to get some deep vision, and he's going to be able to spot out Harrow as he goes for his clear.
So JDG trying to get the wards down responso. Everyone will have an idea as to where people are starting, but I actually want to change my game plan now a little bit for Kanavi after I've seen these runes. He's gone for the electrocute on this Nidalee, so looking to get in aggressive, try and use that electrocute combo to kill people rather than just steal away these camps.
That's what I like to see. Kanavi being a little bit more proactive, a little bit more aggressive. We'll see if that's going to come through. As right now it's Rogue Warriors that are being proactive and aggressive. They want to take away a red buff. This isn't going to have been spotted out. All that's spotted, though, is that the blue buff hasn't been started. In the meantime, Kanavi going to match in the top lane.
So Holder will know that this is started by JDG in the top lane, and I like this call from Rogue Warriors. We already talked about, hey, Zhang Wuji, Lei, you have great dive set up for the likes of Harrow in this bottom lane because you've got that Alistar. So by Harrow splitting the map like this, he can keep control for Lei and Zhang Wuji in this bottom lane and set them up.
The hook from Lumao, but matched immediately by Lei. Just headbutts him away. Denies any kind of skirmish.
And this is one of the beauties. I'm going to yap all about Alistar because I'm an Alistar man. I love this guy. So Alistar, what you can do is in the Nautilus matchup, whenever Lumao goes for the engage, you just either tank the hook yourself or you wait for the hook to connect and jump onto the enemy AD carry. You have way more CC and she'll be able to turn in your favor.
Kanavi wants some right here. Gets the slow with the red buff. Wooming is going to move over, but Zoe's not that great at level 2. Harrow could actually be in trouble. Might be forced to flash. Kanavi trying to finish him off just with auto attack. Spear goes wide. One more hit would have done it. But he can't quite finish the kill. But we said we wanted to see Kanavi be a bit more aggressive. That's exactly what we're going to see.
So this is why he took this electrocute, is to get into the face of Harrow and try and disrupt Harrow in the jungle before he can get to the lanes. So now we've got Kanavi taking control of the Rogue Warriors jungle and stopping Harrow from being a nuisance for any of the JDG laners.
Harrow, in the meantime, knows the situation he's in, so he's going to decide that now it's time to split the map. If you're going to take my blue buff and my wolves and my Gromp, I'm going to do the same to you.
Lei and Zhang Wuji, though, moving in here, will spot the Kanavi stolen away the Gromp. But this is pretty fine. I mean, you expect this, and that's why Zhang Wuji and Lei backed right the way off, because they didn't want Kanavi coming in overly aggressive. Now look at the top lane, though, because when you've got Harrow on this top side now, it's Zoom who needs to be careful that he's not going to be caught out with Holder and with Harrow.
Harrow's a little bit low, though, so just needs to be a bit cautious. Should be able to grab himself the top side scuttle. In the meantime, when you look towards the bottom side of the map, it's JDG that are fully pushing in Wuji and Lei.
A lot of activity coming through from these junglers in the early stages of the game, as Harrow actually trying to stick around on this top side, has healed up. Might be looking to see if he can spot out Kanavi, but it's Kanavi with the level advantage right now.
And he's managed to find the spear, so he'll have the pounce available. Jumps on Repel up, but there's not really anywhere for Harrow to go. Doesn't have his laners here. Holder arrives. Flash from Harrow. Kanavi could still snipe this. Kanavi can jump over walls. Harrow needs to be a little bit careful, needs to be watching out for these spears. He knows he's gone under the turret because he's got a ward over in the brush. Kanavi's going to go for it. In fact, he just wants Holder instead. He's like, Harrow, you're going to recall? Okay, I'll go for your top laner instead. Gets an auto, throws the spear, just goes wide. But hey, he'll get some croaks.
Kanavi is putting in work on this Nidalee so far, though. Forcing Harrow out of the jungler twice, now stealing away the Krugs again. This is a very big level lead Kanavi's starting to gain, and Rogue Warriors haven't been able to help out Harrow. Holder's been pushed in consistently in the top lane by Zoom, so hasn't been able to help out. Yugao has been doing a good job of containing Woomin in this mid lane as well. So Harrow is consistently losing out on the map with nowhere to turn except into Kanavi's hands.
And let's bear in mind, he's the one on Elise. He's the one that's meant to be being aggressive, trying to force the plays, but with Kanavi just putting this pressure on, it's very difficult for him to do what he wants. And we were talking about it. Kanavi is one of the carries for this team, even though he's the jungler.
And it's usually we see him in lanes with Kanavi getting fed and dealing damage to mostly that top to mid lane. But now instead, he's just being a nuisance for Harrow. And this is where it starts to become tough for Harrow, because it's how do you try and still have that influence you need to have as Elise? You either try and farm up and hope that you don't continuously run into Kanavi, or you can take the super risky play and just forgo your jungle, try and gank the lanes over and over. And if you can get these kills, you look splendid. But if JDG are able to avoid your ganks as Harrow, you're going to fall super far behind. So now Harrow's in a rough spot.
And Kanavi, he knows it. He's going to start this dragon off because bot pushed out, mid pushed out, means that complete priority goes over to JDG, and they can get this with no answer from Harrow because Rift Herald's not on the map yet. There's nothing that the Spider can take.
And there's no way for either of the laners from Rogue Warriors in mid or bottom lane to answer, because Woomin is still struggling a little bit to keep Yagao at bay in this mid lane. He's using this Azir to push in really effectively. And in the bottom side of the map as well, Loken and Lumao have been dictating the pace here because Kanavi's been playing down towards this bottom side. And this is all going really well for JDG in this early game.
So far, so good for JDG. And we mentioned at 15 minutes, if they've got the lead, that is their ultimate strength. They want to snowball. They struggle when they fall behind. Wumeng with a nice little bubble there. We'll be able to pop off a paddle star as well. You guys got to be careful at this point. Obviously, he's on the Azir, so his early laning, not necessarily his biggest strength.
The cleanse there as well to try and keep him safe, but he's still taking a lot of poke. Will be forced to back away now. And this might keep Kanavi back just a little bit and give Harrow some time to steal away some camps of his own. Though as I say that, it looks like he's trying to set up for a play on this bottom side of the map. Level 6 for Lei hit would give him the Unbreakable Will and up the ante for this dive potential.
This wave not quite going to be enough to get him level 6 though, so I think they're deciding the dive isn't the play just yet. Just going to settle for a red buff instead, at least for now.
Harrow's going to breathe a sigh of relief. Having the support from the bottom lane and also from Woomin will mean that he's able to steal away a little bit of a camp. Now hit his level 5, but Kanavi doesn't care. He's stealing away his own camp on the top side. So Kanavi not letting up the pressure right now and making sure that he can keep as even as possible.
He's going to head back to base and reset before we see this Rift Herald spawning onto the map. And you can see Loken and Lumao heading back to base as well. Herald will spawn in 5 seconds, and we'll see where this bot lane from JDG goes.
Lei has already moved, as you said, so Zhongwu Ji, regardless, is going to be late to the play. So in this case, looks like what they're trying to do for Rogue Warriors is just forego this Rift Herald. You've got the Infernum there, Zhongwu Ji, to push in. Take the turret plates for yourself, because Harrow has already been set behind. Zoe's going to have a bigger impact, yes, than Yagao right now, but if Zoom can set up the plays correctly for the rest of JDG, it's going to be way too difficult for Rogue Warriors to deal with.
And this is rough for the side of Rogue Warriors, because when you consider what jungler they have and what mid laner they have, you'd expect a lot of priority. You'd expect a lot of ability to make plays on the map, but so far, it's been all JDG. They've been completely in control of this early game. Rogue Warriors, they forego the Herald. They forwent the first dragon as well, and it doesn't feel like they've had much of an answer anywhere else.
But this is classic Rogue Warriors. They have one of the lowest objective controls in the LPL right now. They're sitting at 41% when it comes to those dragons, and about, I think, 46% when it comes to Rift Herald. So this is not them having any real control of these early objectives. It's when we start to get to those later stage team fights where they're able to muscle their way in. So not unexpected from Rogue Warriors to be slightly behind at this stage, but it's JDG who I really expected to have a little bit more of a higher gold lead with how aggressive they've been playing the early game. That being said though, JDG have still been doing an incredible job in controlling Harrow at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at tower plates as well across the map, we've got one taken in the mid lane in favor of Rogue Warriors, one taken in the bottom lane in favor of JDG. So the gold going to be relatively even. There is a 1,000 lead in favor of JDG, but that's just mostly that CS lead in the jungle and in the top.
And now this gold lead is going to be looked to be extended. This is classic JDG. Yagao and Kanavi with Zoom in will usually try and teeter towards this top side in order to help Zoom and set him up for success. Now they're taking Perturb Plates and they've got the Rift Herald to start to get even more of them into Zoom's hands.
Opting not to go for the Rift Herald just yet. Because I think he can afford his jungle enchant right there. So he's going to head back to base, finish off the Runic Echoes. That's a big power spike for Nidalee.
I love how smart Loken and Lumao are playing in response to this on the bottom side. You've got to worry about a dive coming through from Harrow, so they back right the way off, so then they can pick up the Krugs and make sure they're not going to be under pressure here in case that dive comes through.
Nice little CC chain onto Lei. They're going to follow it up as well. Unbreakable Will comes through, but the Rend is stacking. Base call keeps Lumao alive. Lei does get to walk away from things here. Kanavi's on the bottom side as well. Bear in mind, Dragon's up in 30 seconds. A kill on either side would just about secure that objective.
Both supports used by the ultimates and the AD carry. So when it does come to that Dragon, might need to take a little bit of a breather on both sides until those ultimates come back up unavailable. JDG, though, are still okay if this is the way the game is going to go. You're giving it time for Yagao to start to scale up. You're getting some of these items in towards Loken. Yeah. So they're pretty happy with the state of affairs right now. It's more going to be Rogue Warriors because they've got this Elise who hasn't really been able to have the impact Yahara was hoping for on this pick.
I've been impressed by Wooming so far on this Zoe, because when you look at the CS numbers, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. When you're looking at them trading though, Wooming consistently winning out these trades. He's forcing Yagao back to base, and he's grabbed himself 2 solo turret plates. Bear in mind, that's the equivalent of a kill. So he is going to be starting to build a bit of gold lead in the mid lane. And his team, in the meantime, is going to be setting up for the second Drake. They're going to be able to grab that one.
Able to move in just faster to that Dragon Pit, and also had Holder still waiting on the TP available. So Rogue Warriors do a good job here to pick that objective up for themselves, and now they can avoid again fighting against JDG for a little bit longer. They want to have Zhang Wuji pick up this Infinity Edge, the Essence Reaver, and even have that Luden's Echo finish for Woomy.
Arrow's moving down in the bottom side. Lumao and Loken spot him on a ward. Keep your eyes on Kanavi though, because he's gone back up towards his top side. Lands a spear. Needs to be careful. You don't really want Kanavi to be the one tanking a tower. They're going to drop this Herald. With Zoom and Kanavi here, they should be able to finish off that third plate just before it charges. That will mean they grab the first tower of the game.
And Zoom now has definitely been set up for success here. He's going towards the Black Cleaver build, which I like because you're going to be looking more towards team fights with the composition that JDG have gone for. You get a bunch of extra health there. That starts to stack better with the likes of your passive. So this is really where I want to see Zoom have the impact he's known for on this set pick for JDG.
Really, really good respect from Lumao and Loken, but a good answer as well from Rogue Warriors. They see that the Herald's been dropped in the top side. They already got the Dragon, and they get themselves some plates as well. They're not going to be able to dive, though, because Loken and Lumao backed away. Now we have a bit of a reset, and if we do see the bottom lane from Rogue Warriors recall, in fact, they're not going to be allowed to, because Lei is getting engaged on. Won't be able to find his trample stun because Loken dances away, and Lei has to run back underneath his tower.
JDG, though, find themselves off that play. About 1,000 gold up, or 2,000 gold up. And this is where a lot of their leads start to come from, is just the way that they utilize this Rift Herald. Oftentimes it is gifted towards Zooms. On average, at about 15 minutes, he's up at like 370 gold. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. He's got the Ninja Tab I completed over Holder, who even went for the 3 boots in this scenario. So I want to see now with Zoom pushing in this wave in the top lane and trying to get in behind Woomin in this mid lane. Usually when Zoom is set ahead, JDG then start to play around mid lane, and you can already see he's setting up for that play, trying to clear out wards as he goes to come towards the mid lane.
I want to talk a little bit about JDG and kind of whether or not they are a top team right now. Because to me, it feels like they're starting to get that status of a top team in the LPL. Not just because of the standings, but because of the way that they play. Zoom's actually going to start a fight with Lei here, but realizes he can't go any further on that one. But when you look at the gold lead right now, plates are just about even. CS across the board is not that significant, but the gold lead is huge in favor of JDG. They've managed to get themselves a 2,000 gold lead over basically nothing. Zoom has been caught out. Showstopper to get himself to safety. Haymaker onto everyone. Kanavi's here to help him out as well. They're going to be able to, I think, just walk away from this one. Wooming on his way up as well. Rift Herald has spawned. They're going to be able to just force this objective, I think.
Well, they do still have the rest of Loken and Lumeo pushing in on this bottom lane, so you can assume that JDG are going to be forced back regardless of the play that just happened onto Zoom, but it's a trade that's in favor of JDG. You use Rift Herald to get towers and tower plates, well, JDG just took a tower in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they get to completely deny this entire bot side jungle as well. They'll grab a blue buff, they'll grab a Gromp. And this is what I'm talking about. Everything that you try and take from JDG, they'll find an answer. And this is why I'm saying they feel like a top team, not just in terms of scoreline, but in terms of the way that they play. Even with no kills, they still find advantages for themselves. And that's exactly what it feels like when you watch the top teams in other regions as well. Doesn't matter what the scoreline is, they find ways to find advantages.
And don't forget, like, this is a team that has been pushing the top for quite a while. They came second in Spring 2019 playoffs. They haven't quite been able to get back to that success, but definitely with the way this roster has been coming together, with Loken returning to the team, it feels like maybe this is the iteration of JDG that can match that second place finish and maybe even put them over the edge.
I'm feeling it, man. I like JDG right now. I think that they are one of the most convincing teams as they move towards playoffs, especially with that series against IG under their belts, the series against E-Star under their belts. The big question mark for me is them against FPX. They went 1-2 earlier on in the split. It was their third series. And you have to bring up the question because FPX weren't looking so hot towards the start of the split. You have to bear that in mind. JDG was one of the teams that beat them back then. Or that lost to them, in fact, back then. It was I think it was the first win for FPX of the split. And so there's a big question of, you know, JDG look better since then, but so does FPX.
Well, JDG need to look good right now. They've been caught.
Yeah, I've been caught. It's going to be Lumao just gets deleted. Empress Divide from Yagao says, I'm done with this fight. Kanavi disagrees, though, as he tries to find a re-engage. And eats the sleepy trouble bubble. No follow-up from Wooming, though. So we'll be okay on that one. Now, the Herald going to be used in this mid lane, but it's all just a setup for this Dragon. This is very nicely done from the side of Rogue Warriors. They get to move over to this Drake. Lumao is back, though. Death times are fairly low, but it'll take a while to get here from base.
And welcome to Rogue Warriors territory. It's after 15 minutes. That's where this team comes alive. They find the pick. They will pick up their second Dragon here.
There we go.
They will back away.
They grab it, but Zoom's not done. Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands. Takes a huge chunk, and the Haymaker connects to nobody. Rogue Warriors, they walk away. They manage to grab themselves a Drake and a kill.
So remember that stat we said in the analyst desk. Rogue Warriors are only ahead 31% of the times in their game. So now this is where they start to come alive, that post 15-minute mark. And that's why they've been able to pick up so many of their wins. It's off of picks, off of smart plays around these objectives as teams look to go and secure them or even fight around them.
So Rogue Warriors, they find themselves an advantage in this mid-game, and it's kind of the opposite of what we saw in the early game, because consistently we saw JDG finding objectives for themselves with very little answer from the side of Rogue Warriors. Now we see Rogue Warriors force a mid lane tower, they force a Dragon, and there was very little answer from JDG.
We've still got to be careful as Rogue Warriors, though, because JDG are doing a good job of keeping these waves pushed in on the sides, and that's why we can see, even when Rogue Warriors have a man advantage towards that Dragon, they weren't actually able to try and convert it with Holder coming in on a flank. They needed to go and catch these waves on the side, and this is where Rogue Warriors have previously struggled. Is yes, their team fights are great after that 15-minute mark. They look good, but their side wave management can be a little bit lackluster, and now with that play just there, it bit them a little bit.
And you have to wonder whether that is the thought process for JDG, whether they came into this one saying, look, we're going to have a quiet series here. We're going to play it slow, look for being able to outplay this team in the late stages of the game. Bear in mind, JDG, if they win one more series, will be guaranteed for playoffs. I'm pretty sure if you're JDG management now, you're pretty much assuming you're in playoffs. So you have to bring in the conversation of preparing strategies for playoffs. While this isn't the way we usually see JDG play, they usually are skirmishing a lot more, perhaps trying to add styles to their playbook.
Well, Kanavi has brought out this mid lane before, and really Kanavi is the one that we look at for JDG to be the master of all these early game shenanigans. with this Nidalee pick, he can't really go, well, could go for the heavy ganks, but opts not to. Instead, goes to invade onto Harrow, keep this Spider Queen in check. And right now, it's Harrow who's behind in levels, hasn't been able to impact this early game for Rogue Warriors. And JDG are still looking pretty good. It's slowly been sneaking up, but it's a 3,000 gold lead for them right now. And an awful lot of that is off of the waves on the side that they've been controlling, picking up some of these turret plates and towers on the side, and now putting pressure on this mid lane as well.
Lumao wants a bit of revenge. He was the one caught out when the dragon went down in favor of Rogue Warriors. He's trying to step forward, find something, but there is a ward in Pixel Brush. So, Wooming needs to be careful here. Nice spear from Kanavi to chunk him out. He'll be rewarded with this blue buff off the back of that one as well. And this is just consistent. Look at the CS lead in the jungle here. Kanavi is over 30 CS ahead of Harrow, using this Nidalee to great effect. And just because of, the hook, but obviously it's a Zoe, jumps back through the portal.
Woomin does need to be careful because those portals leave him a sitting duck. Not on the forefront end, but when he comes back out, you've got to be careful of Kanavi spear waiting for you. You saw one of them connect, and just with Kanavi sitting off the wings, didn't try to go and finish off that Zoe, but that's the problem here with Woomin. Can't be jumping about the place as effectively as he would have liked before.
And you can see now that the 3 tier 1s are down, from the side of JDG, they're pushing that vision line in. You can see blue woods dotted throughout the jungle of Rogue Warriors. And this is just great to see the macro play coming out from the side of JDG. Great to see them just controlling the map in this way.
And think about how Rogue Warriors want to operate in these fights. It's having Holder come in on a flank, it's Woomin getting some of these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles and Paddle Stars over the walls, but when you've got this level of vision control JDG has, it makes it very difficult for Rogue Warriors to try and play that style. So the more vision control that they get, the better it'll be for JDG. And with that mid lane turret going down, it'll be far easier for them to go and get that vision.
It's interesting to think about JDG and where their players came from as well, because when you think about Logan, you know, he started in the LCK, had a small stint on Barbecue Olivers. We had Kanavi that was on Griffin, came over on a loan for a short while, and then formalized that position here on JDG. And it feels like both of these players have found their homes in JDG. Obviously, Logan returning to the roster this year. And this is, as you said before, this is the most, like, I guess, whole that this team has felt in a while.
Rogue Warriors pushing in now towards this river. JDG have control of the dragon, started up. You can see Woomin trying his best to poke out the members of JDG.
Well, they need to move quick if they want to contest this one, because it's on 2,000 health remaining. Kanavi has Smite, there's a Rend as well. Lei has tried to contest, but he might have gone too deep. He is damn tanky, though, because he's playing the Alistair, and Zoom's going to use that to his advantage, throws him into the back line. In comes the Cyclone from Holder, though, trying to CC up the team, but he just can't do it in time. Lei's run out of ultimate. He goes down as the double comes from Yagao, but here comes Wuji. Gets 2. Now they jump over the wall, finish off another one. Rogue Warriors win out this fight, but Loken's not done just yet. He's going to find one for himself, shut down by Harrow, and this 1v1 begins again, but Wuji's still hanging around. He's not done just yet on the Aphelios. Kanavi, one against the world, but he can't do anything.
It wasn't a fair 1v1. You still had Zhang Wuji, who was looking to be tagged in.
Oh, Kanavi, don't face check it. Throws the spear, got greedy, and Harrow is going to punish him. Gets revenge for the early game. Flash from Kanavi, gets him away to safety.
That looked like it was going to be a great fight for JDG. Unfortunately, off the back of a little bit of a misplay from Lei, delivering Zoom into the back line. He gets the face breaker onto the carries, but it actually gives the opportunity for Rogue Warriors to deal with Zoom while Holder and Lei are pressuring onto Yagao and Loken. And when everyone groups up in the pit like that, it's easy for Zhang Wuji to land that massive Moonlight Vigil.
And that is the strength of Aphelios. That's why we see him locked in, because when they group up like that, if you've got Infernum, if you've got Moonlight Vigil, you're going to win the fight.
So Lei comes in aggressively here, holds on to the headbutt, and I thought, okay, maybe he's going to deliver Lu Mao back in, but when Gargoyle Stone Plate's there, you don't want to. Zoom sent into the backline, and then watch Holder pounce. This is what upsets the entire fight for JDG, and why this Wukong is such a valued pick by teams, because you're able to corral JDG into that pit, and Zhang Wuji has open season for himself.
Yeah, and we've seen Zhang Wuji with these big team fight ultimates be able to take over a game before. It was the misfortune towards the start of the split. He was having insane games on and the Aphelios as well. Those are his two most played champions, and you can see incredibly proficient.
And the thing when we look towards Holder's Wukong is that there has to be someone to deal with him in team fights. Zoom, once he'd used the showstopper and once the depth charge and the hook were down from Lumao, there isn't really much that can deal with this Wukong apart from the Emperor's Divide. So when you see Zoom use his showstopper, keep your eyes on Holder, because that's the one big ultimate that can really get Holder out of these fights. But if that's used already, it's easy for Holder to navigate his way into the backline.
I love how as soon as a trouble bubble lands, JDG are all like, group around the guy, protect him. Zoom steps forward, Lumao steps forward. They're happy to tank a paddle star. Even though there's actually very little MR on this squad. So Wooming, if he can find these trouble bubbles, if he can find the paddle stars, will chunk these guys out.
You do have the healing that can come through from Nidalee pretty quickly though, and especially with the Athenes and Holy Grail adding to that. Being chunked out isn't enough, you have to do it consistently, and that's where it's becoming a little bit more harder for Wooming, because Kanavi can start to answer back for that poke, and that poke from Kanavi is going to stick a lot more than from the Rogue Warrior side.
Ooh, they just get away with the recalls there. That was a tight one though. Rogue Warriors going to find an opportunity to grab some vision control around this Baron. Bear in mind, they did win the last fight. They got... they're even in Drake's right now, but importantly, gold lead's still in favor of JDG. They are the ones with the advantage if they can find the right scenario. But Dagda, talk me through, what is the scenario that JDG need? How do they stop Holder ruining these fights?
But the best way, as we said, is to have Zoom try and keep Holder out of the pit. But JDG have started up this Baron. Holder is in a great flank position right now.
Yeah, they're just going to go for this one, pulling the squad in lay. Unbreakable Will stops the Haymaker. Whoa! Zoom in the backline going absolutely nuts. Haymaker onto everyone. Emperor's Divide from Yagao as he keeps everyone at arm's length. Holder has to flash over the wall. JDG, they find the fight they were looking for. Pull from Lumao, but nobody is with you. Needs to back away from that one. Great couple of picks.
Zoom's set showstopper was the game changer in that scenario. Able to get onto the carries, delete Zhang Wuji and Lei. The Rogue Warriors, they're not done. Harrow looking for the steal.
5-5 on the scoreboard, but that might be going up shortly. 2,000 on this Baron. But Rogue Warriors back away. They realize they can't contest this one. And at 27 minutes, JDG now firmly in control.
So we said we needed Holder to be kept out of these fights. I was thinking Zoom would be on that job. The Emperor's Divide does a great deal here, but watch Zoom. That's the difference maker here. The showstopper into the three-person face breaker. Haymaker across them as well. Rogue Warriors didn't stand a hope. You delete Lei, Zhang Wuji, and JDG just off of that play completely win the fight.
And I love how Lei uses the Unbreakable Will to kind of QSS himself out of the showstopper. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done. Your health is already what's going to cause the damage onto the carries. And Zoom, perfect positioning, punishes Lei, who he just wants to be the front line. But that's not how it works against Set.
Yeah, that's what you're just gifting over. Now, it doesn't have the Gargoyle Stoneplate, so I like this change in build from Lei. Sometimes we see the Gargoyle Stoneplate onto Alistair's, but especially when you've already got the inbuilt resistances from an Unbreakable Will, and you can get rid of yourself from being carried by Zoom, the Gargoyle Stoneplate would only hurt more for your team if you went for this scenario. Instead, the Righteous Glory gives them an easier setup when they can catch people out.
And look at the pressure that is now being slammed onto the faces of Rogue Warriors. Turrets going down all across the map. 3 dragons have been taken now by JDG, and they are using this Baron exceptionally efficiently. Just going over 2 lanes and now trying to get towards inhibitors.
Keep your eyes on Lei, though, has the Righteous Glory and could look to barrel on top of JDG if they're in the wrong position.
They dodge away from the trouble bubble. Remember, Zoom will be on the bottom side of the map during all of this. Lei is just going to be sitting there, waiting, biding his time, trying to find a way in. But I think that JDG realized that this isn't going to continue. They're not going to be able to finish this one off. There's plenty of wave clear. So they're just going to settle for a tier 2 in the top side.
They have moved up, as he said, to this top side. There's no one really here to dissuade JDG, so they should be able to pick this turret up for themselves relatively handily. Baron buff is just about to wear out, so JDG will back away and spend all that extra gold that they've just picked up.
Trouble bubble, but the minion wave is going to ruin Wooming's chances of finishing off a kill there. Kanavi's found the control ward that's been spotting him out this whole time. We'll be able to get rid of that one. And as you rightly say, with Baron buff only 30 seconds remaining, it's time to reset, head back to base, and figure out what the next objective is.
So let's look at JDG's inventories off of this back now, because you've got the Zhonya's Era class just completed for Yagao. You've got all this lifesteal that's been picked up for Loken as well. And Kanavi got the Lich Bane there as well, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage onto members that Zoom is able to set up for him.
Zoom just going to try and find the 1v1 with Holder, but he's just going to batter the clone instead. But it is getting to the point where you have to start questioning this Wukong pick from Holder, because we had one team fight where it looked really, really good. But the rest of the game, it's been all about Zoom on this set. He's been able to do anything he wants. And bear in mind, this Wukong was picked into the set.
I don't think it's really Holder is the issue here. It's been more that Rogue Warriors setting up for these fights haven't really been able to get the gap closed so that then Holder can get in onto the back line. JDG in that Baron fight were just able to turn instantly onto Rogue Warriors without any problems from Holder.
Whoa, Yagao! He's completely alone, but he's not afraid of this Rogue Warriors squad. I'm actually kind of amazed that he didn't die for that one. I think Rogue Warriors given a lot of respect, assuming the rest of JDG was nearby. They were still on the way at the time.
He still had flash on that Zhonya's to buy time, but definitely a risky call from Yagao. But his bluff doesn't get called. Rogue Warriors will back away, and he's got control of that top side. So again, JDG getting control of these waves, moving that vision control that we talked about from them forward. Yep. Look at all the blue wards that are in that jungle. It makes it way too difficult for Rogue Warriors to enact their game plan, getting Holder in, unsuspecting onto JDG.
Yep, both jungles now belong to JDG, and you can see Dragon's coming up in a minute and a half, and that's exactly what JDG are looking towards. But look at the items for JDG. Everyone with 3 items at this point, aside from the support, but you know, just support things.
Yeah.
But the Lich Bane coming through for Kanavi, incredibly impactful item on this Nidalee, just means that Q execute is even stronger.
So as we look towards, oh, hang on, Yagao forces the flash from Lei.
Yagao is feeling it today. He wants to fight. He wants to get onto someone. Zoom living up to his name with the Dead Man's Plate there. Lei, his aftershocks run out. Might have to use the Unbreakable Will shortly. Pulled in, stunned up. Unbreakable Will comes through. The rest of his squad is nowhere near. They can't follow up on his CC. The Ren's stacking on up, and he will go down. Loken gets the kill. 40 seconds on this Dragon.
Bit of a disastrous play for Lei there. Forces the flash thanks to Yagao, which already would have been a big setback for this next Dragon fight, but having to burn the Unbreakable and his life means JDG should be able to get this Dragon pretty much scot-free, although Wuming.
I find Wuming, Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to stop Loken in his tracks, but I mean, Zoe hasn't got much more outside of that one. Wuji now could be in trouble. Blue Mao is going to chase for this one, has the flash. Ignite goes down, the hook lands, and that's going to be a dead carry. JDG find pick after pick. Loken's opening up the base in the meantime. They don't need the Infernal Soul, they just want their game. Loken flashes forward, another one onto Holder. He gets the Cyclone onto the team. Ren stacking though, and he surely will go down here. Nice little stopwatch, keep himself alive. Lei's respawned only to go down again. And JDG 0-100 finish this one out. 1-0 over Rogue Warriors.
Welcome to a demonstration of how Vision wins games. JDG finds